That'd be great.
Thank you.
And we are having a presenter tonight, Dr. Bob McCauley, and he is an entrepreneur of the Watershed business in the North Lansing. And we all got his address and information in our announcement for tonight's meeting. And so I would like to welcome Dr. Bob tonight, and we're excited to hear about his book that he has written. And he said when he first came out with it that it says everything he could possibly say, and also if we would read it, we would know everything that he knows. No, we wouldn't know everything he knows, but he would we would know enough to have some success at following his advice. So, and it was very clear in the announcement that he feels if we do, we will get results. So I think everyone's wondering what in your book, maybe some of the things you think are the most important things to share. There's things that people don't value very highly that you value quite highly. And so I guess what are some things, we hope to hear some things that we might not hear otherwise from somebody that's not acquainted with the word, but what is, or maybe, anyway, we hope that, well, if you have a question, now here's the thing I wondered, if you have a question, there is a place that we can go down at the bottom. It's like the chat thing, isn't there, where someone can write in their question? Mm-hmm. Yeah, here on the right side. So looks like Cricket Lot has been writing the things that she's wanting other people to know, like Bob to know already, on her chat side. So does everybody realize they can ask a question that way?
And you can also just ask on the phone. So
yeah, you can, or just wait until you get the time. So we want to give Bob all the time that he wants to give his presentation, and then he'll tell us when it's time for a question. Right?
Welcome, Bob.
Oh, wait a minute, we can't hear you now. Did you do that? You didn't do that on purpose, did you? Can you unmute yourself?
No, he's muted on video because if he's on the phone, it'll have feedback. So if he talks, he should be able to hear him on the phone.
Oh.
Did you hang up your phone, Bob? Well, that's bizarre. Try unmuting then. No.
Your mute is still on.
Okay, how's that?
That's good.
There we go. Okay,
Right.
so I can hear myself, and then I got myself muted on my phone. So.
Oh, okay. That's why we couldn't hear you on the video. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Go for it.
All right. Well, I'm Dr. Bob McCauley. I own the Watershed Wellness Center in Lansing. It's out just past the airport, about 2 miles west of the airport. I've been doing this for 28 years. I started out 28 years ago, started out in the bottled water business. I've written a whole bunch of books on health and natural health. Actually, probably done around, I think this is my 6th book on health. And I have hundreds of blogs and hundreds of videos. My YouTube is, it's Watershed 11, or if you just go and search for Dr. Bob McCauley, and you'll find me in there. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I started out in the bottled water business. I didn't really even know what a naturopathic doctor was, but little by little, people kept coming in with first ionized water. I'm going to discuss that. And then then it was, I found out about spirulina, and then I started adding chlorella, and I'll talk about that. And then little by little over the years, I just kept learning things. And I saw Hiawatha was on here. She kind of introduced me, not exactly to raw foods, but she introduced me to sprouts originally. And then, so what happened was, I just started looking at sprouts and go, why do I want to eat sprouts? And I found out, well, because of enzymes. And so then I looked into enzymes. I bought this book called it's called Enzyme Nutrition, Enzyme Therapy, Nutrition. Dr. Howell wrote that, Edward Howell. And then it just all made sense why I want to eat raw fruits and vegetables and not take vitamins and not try to be healthy. I was kind of a lacto vegetarian at the time. And then I became a full vegan, so I don't eat meat, fish, eggs, or dairy. And we'll discuss that. And that's kind of how I got going. And so I didn't start out, boy, I'm going to be a naturopathic doctor. I'm just going to, go into the bottled water business. And then it all happened from there. So I was very fortunate. I've been very fortunate, but I'm a hard worker. So I learned all this. And now here we are with this point. So here's my latest book, The Cure in the Mirror, Nature's Protocol for Surviving Cancer. And your body can cure itself of any disease. You need to stop putting the wrong things into your body and start putting the right things into your body. And that's what this is all about. And that I can see it's always great to talk to this kind of a crowd here because you guys are obviously interested in health. Sometimes I go out to venues and these are not health-minded people. And some of them just can't believe what I'm saying, and they don't believe it and they argue with me, and that's fine. I like challenging questions and I'll explain everything to you from my point of view and why you want to do what I suggest. But I really, I know that the human body can cure itself of any disease. I guarantee you I'm one of the few people, if not the only person you'll ever meet in your life that'll tell you with a straight face, I'm not going to die of a disease. I know I'm going to die. I know I'm going to die when God wants to take me, and that's it. But it'll be from an accident. It'll be murder or assassination, but it will never be, I would never commit suicide. That's a big mistake. And it won't be disease. So I have a lot of peace in my mind about that. As far as, I don't have to wake up at 3:00 in the morning and think, boy, one of those test results going to reveal, do I have this disease or that disease? I know I'm always healthy. And to say, for instance, if I were not healthy or something happened, I had a disease, I would know immediately how to correct it. But if I got sick and if I got cancer or any other disease, it would be because I'm not following my own health protocol. So I have a 7-component health protocol. And it starts with water. Water is the cornerstone of health. I promote alkaline ionized water. The reason I do that, promote alkaline ionized water, which is made with a water ionizer, is because it has alkaline ionized water has all the same properties as raw fruits and vegetables, only it doesn't have any nutrients. So everything you'll find in a raw food, which is 3 antioxidant qualities, an abundance of electrons, a negative ORP, oxidation reduction potential that reduces the oxidation of the body. That's the most important term you can ever learn about health is ORP. Because everything you put into your body either accelerates oxidation and therefore accelerates the aging process, or reduces oxidation in the body and reverses it. So there's only 2 things in the world that can do that, reverse oxidation, and that's alkaline ionized water and raw fruits and vegetables. And that's why I'm a raw foodist. I'm probably 98% raw or whatever. And I try to always strive to be 100% raw. Today, I've just had some fruit and I've had spirulina and chlorella. Make sure I have my protein. So we'll discuss those. But that's the point of ionized water. It's also very alkalizing, just like raw fruits and vegetables, and very, very detoxifying, extremely hydrating to the body because of the size and shape of the water molecule clusters, but also very, very detoxifying because it gets into your cells and your tissue and pushes out all the things that don't belong there, which we call toxins. So the main thing I always want to tell people, and it's in my book, is HAD. That's the key to health, HAD. Hydrate your body, alkalize your body, detoxify your body, get those things out of there that don't belong. So, and I do want to say, by the way, there's my book. It's on Audible. It's on my website. But not my biggest accomplishment here, and one of the toughest things I've ever done in my life, was an audio version. So now it just came out 2 days ago. It's available on audible.com. So you can pick up a copy there. I actually sent out an email to everybody. I responded to Phil's email, and I just sent out a copy or emailed everybody on that list and showed you where you could get that link and go to it. So if you want to listen, I like to listen to books. I'm a very busy guy. I'm a very hard worker. So I've always got something going in my ear as I'm working, and usually it's a book. of some sort. So I love to listen to books, and I really don't have the time to always sit down and read them. And if I like a book enough, any book, I will sit there with a highlighter. I'll buy the physical copy and I'll listen to it and I'll highlight it as I go if I really want to get into it. But yes, this will tell you exactly how you can cure yourself of any disease, including cancer. So very quickly, I'll just go through these very briefly, and then I'm going to tell you the beginning of just kind of the whole basis of my cancer protocol. I call it my cancer protocol, but my health protocol has 7 components, and they are alkaline ionized water, spirulina and chlorella, 2 types of algae, the strongest foods in the world, and they're 60% protein. So this is what we should use for our protein rather than animal protein. And then a diet of raw fruits and vegetables, exclusively raw fruits and vegetables. I'm a vegan. You don't eat meat, fish, eggs, or dairy. You use your spirulina and chlorella for your protein. And then I highly promote probiotics, the friendly bacteria, and prebiotics, that's fermented foods of any kind. It's very, very easy to ferment foods. Just takes water and salt. You can do that very shortly. I've done it many times. I do it all the time. And so prebiotics, probiotics, because all disease comes from our diet. So it's all about what you put into your body. So, and we'll get that in just a minute, but then I promote minerals, liquid angstrom minerals. I don't know if I have an example. Just to give you an idea, they come in a bottle like that. That happens to be copper, but there's 26 different minerals that are all in the right ratio. You take like a capful, put it under your tongue, and hold it there as long as you possibly can. And then it absorbs directly into the bloodstream through the sublingual duct under your tongue, and this is dispersed throughout the body. If you have questions later, I can go into details, but I cured myself of meningitis. Back in 2012, I wrote a book about it called Silver, the Miracle Mineral. It's on my website. It's on Audible. It's on Amazon.com. It's going to be on Audible. That's my next book that I'm doing. But meningitis is a very serious disease. It's a 21% mortality rate. So your chances of dying are pretty high, and brain damage is pretty high as well. And I got it from the mosquitoes in 2012. I'm sure it was from that. And I got through 10 days of pure hell without any medications or anything. I didn't even know I had an infectious disease, and I didn't know at the time it was meningitis. If I had known, I guess maybe I would have gone to the hospital. I know, just get some care, but I was even able to do everything with just my health protocol. I did a lot of fasting. Fasting is the healthiest thing you can do at any given time. And but I wasn't taking silver. It came back months later. It hit me. I had a little bit of silver with me. I took it. I was on a trip. I was overseas. I took it, about a capful, just like that much, maybe a teaspoon. And I had about 1.5 caps full left in this little tiny bottle. And within hours, within minutes, I felt better. Within hours, I felt it was reversed itself completely. So I detailed that. So this virus that we got now run around, the COVID, is just a joke compared to meningitis. So this is a very serious disease, and this is what you want to use. Your body, again, can cure itself of any disease. You got to, I had some antibodies in there, and that's what you want to do, build up your immunity. It's all about the immune system. So we have liquid angstrom minerals, and then daily vigorous exercise. I promote that very heavily. I'm usually, what I'm doing right now at this time is working out downstairs in my basement, or maybe going out for a run. But I work out very, very intensely every single day for 25 to 30 minutes. And, it's an incredible immune system builder. Your blood is racing through your veins. It's cleansing your organs. It's cleansing the blood. And it just builds the body and builds the nutrients in our, builds our body and builds our health in general in ways that nutrients can't. So really got to do that. Vigorous daily exercise, but I never go more than 30 minutes. That's the absolute most, because you're building up too much acidity and too many free radicals in the body, and you won't be able to compensate for that. So it's not about, when I say daily physical activity, I'm talking about, cardiovascular to some point, where you're breathing and you're panting very hard. And that's at your level. If that's walking, that's fine. If it's fast walking, fine. For me, it's running. I get on an elliptical. I'll do about 3.5 miles in 20 minutes. So when I get off the phone here, I'll go downstairs. I'll hit my elliptical. I'll do some heavy weightlifting, and then I'll jump in my far infrared sauna afterwards for 15 to 30 minutes, somewhere in there. We can talk about that too later. And then last but not least, number 7 is a positive mental attitude. You got to stay positive. You know, if you do everything that I just suggested you do, but this is against you, you're going to fail. But if you just have a positive mental attitude, and I'm just going to get through this disease without anything else, you're not going to make it. You got to have both. You have to have all 6 components of my protocol really, and get all those nutrients to really achieve great health. And really the kind of health most people just dream about. So that's my overall health protocol. And then my cancer protocol, let me describe that to you very quickly. So what that is first, what I want to do is, in the reasons I do this, I can kind of explain to you as I go through this. But first of all, what I want to do is I want to go through a digestive purge. I want to kill everything in your digestive tract and everything in your blood. I want to cleanse the blood and of any viruses, bacteria, yeast, mold, and fungus. And same with your digestive tract. Now, this is if you have cancer. So I'm big into probiotics. I take probiotics with every single meal. I take digestive enzymes with every single meal. But that's me every single day. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you have cancer, you probably have a really bad digestive tract, and I guarantee that you are full of unwanted bacteria, viruses, yeast, mold, and fungus. Anybody who's ever been autopsied for cancer, you'll see there's mold in the body. Well, before you get mold, you're going to get yeast, and then you're going to get fungus. So mold is the last thing, and that's in your body. So you're being recycled. You're being recycled back into nature through these recycling agents, yeast, mold, and fungus. Well, cancer's a recycler too. You're being recycled, because you're no longer part of nature. The nature's looking at your body, and they're just not recognizing what's going on there. So you've become so polluted and so toxic that, and again, let's go briefly. What is a toxin? A toxin is something that doesn't belong in the body. If there's something in your body that doesn't perform a function or isn't a nutrient, you need to get that thing out of there, because that's all disease lives on toxins, all of it. So and all disease, as I said earlier, comes from your diet. You don't inherit your diseases. You inherit dietary habits. And, we all eat the same foods. Well, we're Americans. So we live on, a meat and potato diet. That's why I grew up in the 60s, and I grew up on junk food. I mean, I wonder how sometimes I made it to adulthood, but my bones are made out of Coca-Cola and Oreo cookies. And that's all I ate when I was growing up. And it wasn't until I was in high school that I realized, I was in cross country and track, and my coach said, don't eat this kind of junk. It's not good for you. And it's the first time I ever heard in my life from anybody that what you ate would make a difference in how you perform physically. I never heard of such a thing. I didn't think there was anything. I didn't think anything could make you run faster. And then I found out there's certain foods could make you run faster and make you stronger. So that's kind of where it began for me. And then, I went to India. I became a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian 40 years this month, as a matter of fact. And I haven't eaten meat. And then about 20 years ago, I became a vegan. So I don't eat meat, fish, eggs, or dairy, because there's nothing in an animal that we can't get from the plant world. And I tell people all the time, animals are really just, when you live on an animal diet, meat, fish, eggs, or dairy, you're just eating, that's just the middleman. You're eating the foods that ate the food. So the plants. So you look at the animals that are commonly eaten in our society: chicken, they're all vegetarians; beef, and fish, they're all vegetarians. We don't eat carnivores, but yet we eat these things. So the beef is just eating the grain, or say if it's a natural cow, the grass, because they're really grass animals. They're grass feeding, grass grazers. And the idea that it would be feeding corn or grain or corn-fed beef, I mean, this is just really ridiculous, and it's so contaminated. Animal protein at this point. I always tell people, you know, if you really wanted to eat animals, you could eat it raw. You wouldn't have a problem. Raw meat, fish, eggs, or dairy, but we never eat those things. We always cook them. And so this is a huge problem for us when we cook animal protein, because you're really destroying the protein chain. It's very, it's very delicate. It's all these peptide bonds in there. And so you're making a mess out of it. And it's very inefficient. You have to eat that protein, and then your body has to unravel all those amino acids and then you form them into human protein chains. So this is a very, very inefficient way to get your food. And yet, you know, one of the biggest amounts of pushback I ever get is, you know, meat is healthy. My meat is healthy. I get grass fed from the farmers, and my chickens from down the road, and my eggs come from the farmer. You know, it's a better way. It's more improved. The stuff you get out in the stores now, especially the meat, so contaminated. Even the fish you're going to find, you know, maybe we eat sushi raw. It's very contaminated now. So, you know, this is something that's just really doesn't belong in the body at all. I always say know the source of your food. So I got the summer here, and my garden's outside. That's what I've been eating from all summer. So I probably know now 80% of the food where it exactly comes from. My buddy's got a big garden, you know, enormous amounts of tomatoes and peppers and all this stuff coming in. So I just make my dinners out of that. Tonight, after we get off here in another 30, 40 minutes or whatever, when I'm done working out, I'm going to go eat a big salad. And it's what I eat every single night. I eat a big salad. Now there's all sorts of, you know, Cricket and a bunch of you guys out there make some fantastic raw food dishes. You know, I'm a great cook. Ironically, I was born to cook. I was standing on a chair at 4.5 years old, learning how to cook. I was cooking by myself at 5 o'clock by 5 years old. At 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, I'd get up and eat, and then I'd go watch my cartoons. So I'm a fantastic cook, but I never cook. But I could make all these raw foods every once in a while. I do make a dish for myself, but in general, I'm just kind of quick and dirty, or quick and clean, and I make my salad, and that's the easiest way for me to eat. And but whatever works for you is fine. And then I always have my spirulina and chlorella with that. So going back to my cancer protocol, I want to cleanse the digestive tract of everything out there, and I want to kill everything. I call it tabula rasa. You're going to clean the slate. So to do that, you're going to do I have a parasite killer. I call it my parasite killer protocol. It's on my website. My website's watershed.net. And I have one product that's called the Parasite Killer Formula. And that one is 13 different powders. And I have them in capsules. You could buy it in powder if you want. But every one of these powders has killing power to it. They all kill things. And in particular, bacteria, viruses, yeast, mold, and fungus, and parasites. And the best thing for parasites would be papaya seed powder. So you know, if you think you have parasites, the best thing is papaya seed powder. There's a few other ones out there, but what I want to do is kill everything in your digestive tract. Another thing I'm going to ask you to take is bismuth. That's liquid. It's another one of my extra minerals. You're going to take about a capful, and this one you're going to swallow. Don't hold it in your mouth, because that one is going to kill everything in the digestive tract. In particular, bacteria that's called H. pylori, which causes stomach ulcers. Has been studies showing how bismuth kills that. Bismuth is what they get put in Pepto-Bismol, and so that's where that name gets that from. Pepto-Bismol, the bismuth that they put in it. So that's just another a mineral, very natural, but again, you're just going to take that. So in the best time to do this, and by the way, I mentioned earlier briefly, the healthiest thing you can always do is fast. Stop eating. You know, like when you get an infectious disease, you know, one of the reasons I was able to get through meningitis, which, I mean, it's a killer. Like at one point, I could barely get out of bed. Any normal thinking person would have gone to the doctor or the hospital, but, you know, not Dr. Bob. No, I got to sit there and go through the whole thing, because I really didn't think I had an infectious disease. And if I had known, I would have taken some silver. It would have knocked it right out. But I built up these antibodies. But fasting, you got to stop eating. You know, you get any disease, you get this COVID, you get the stomach. If you get real sick, you know, you go into the hospital, they're going to feed you. They're going to give you food. That's the first thing. I'm hungry. Okay, here's your crappy hospital food. I'll just let you know one thing. Again, my opinion. Hospital is one of the most dangerous places you could ever go into in your life. I'd rather walk through, the wrong part of New York City at 2 o'clock in the morning than go to a hospital. I feel safer in a ghetto in New York. I lived in New York for many years, and I'd rather do that than go to a hospital. I feel safer. That is really a dangerous place as a hospital, for a whole host of reasons. Okay. So by the way, in this book, what this book is about is half of my book, it denounces the medical establishment and why you don't want to use them for disease and why you don't want to use them for any, they really have never cured anything. They've named one disease they've ever cured. Even these, we always hear polio. We've got even Jonas Salk said himself, my vaccine actually extended the polio epidemic. It didn't cure it. He had admitted that himself. It's one of the reasons he didn't want to patent that vaccine that he had developed, because he knew this was not what was happening. Polio was already going on its way out. All infectious diseases have an arc to them. They come in and they leave. That's why the bubonic plague went away eventually, because it has an arc. They eventually people build up immunity. One of the reasons we've had this COVID lingering is because they didn't, let us go out and get herd immunity, meaning get exposed to it, build up the antibodies. And if you're old and you haven't lived on a raw food diet and you haven't taken care of yourself and you're elderly, stay home in something like this. You should stay home. But the average person going out, especially children, the idea of a mask is just pure theater. It doesn't do anything for you. This is not a health device. This is something just to make you think you're doing something. And then they try to say, well, your mask helps me. You take a vaccine. And just for the record, I've taken vaccines in the past. I wouldn't take a vaccine if my life depended on it. I'll never take this vaccine coming out. This is just, who knows what's in it? Well, they don't have to tell you what's in it. And because they're protected by the Supreme Court, and if you die, well, they're not going to get sued because they're protected by the Supreme Court. And they decided that several years ago. So you can't go after them. They said, well, gosh, if we let people sue the vaccine manufacturers, they'll all be put out of business. Whatever, I wouldn't take a vaccine under any circumstances. Aside from all the weird things they found in it, you don't know what's in that vaccine and you don't need it. You need to build the immune system. People need to get strong and not become weak through something like that. So I'm very much intent on telling people that you don't need to be taking these vaccines. You don't need to be wearing a mask around. The mask isn't going to do anything. The N95 mask, the hole on that, let's just say, is this big. The virus is this big compared to it. It just go right through that thing. It's, and that's the best mask on the market, the N95. So this is not the answer to being safe. Being safe is building up your immune system. You can do that with silver. But again, you got to fast. So when you can't say you got cancer, what do I do? Stop eating. Stop eating. It's the number one thing you can do is just stop eating and let your body begin, to heal itself. When you fast, that gives your body a chance to rest, cleanse, and repair itself. And we never do that. People just keep eating meal after meal after meal. Nothing ever clears out. And so you got to stop eating after a while. And every religion does this. Christianity, we had Christ 40 days and fasted in the desert. And there isn't any religion anywhere, even the ones maybe you believe in it, maybe you don't, they all talk about fasting and the incredible powers of fasting. I call it the physician within is the fasting. So you clear your blood, you take, as I said, you're going to take my parasite killer formula, 13 different powders that are all designed to kill everything in your digestive tract, liquid angstrom bismuth, make sure you stay totally hydrated. And then take silver, liquid angstrom silver. That's going to cleanse the blood. As your blood is going to be full of bacteria, viruses, yeast, mold, and fungus if you've got cancer. I guarantee it. And so you got to get those out of there. You got to clean your temple. This is the temple God gave you. One of my books I wrote is called God's Path to Disease-Free Living, What the Scriptures teaches about health. And it's basically based off of John, Gospel of John 20:21, he says, Jesus said, I'll destroy this temple, rebuild it in 3 days. And the temple he was referring to was his body. Well, this is your temple. And if you got sick, it's because you put the wrong things in this temple. And, if you went to your church and you walked in and unlocked the doors and somebody had come in with garbage and thrown it all over the altar and it was all over the place and the seats, you'd run and get everybody in your church and start cleaning that up immediately. The desecration that's been done to that. Well, what are you doing to your body when you're eating a Twinkie, when you're eating cookies, when you're eating Doritos? You're doing the same thing. You are polluting your own temple. You're destroying your own health, and you're destroying your own temple. And so you got to stop doing this. I tell people all the time, why raw fruits and vegetables? Well, God grew an apple. We made a frying pan. And you cannot improve on God's creation. That God grew that apple. That's perfect. You can make it taste better. You can make an apple pie. A friend of mine, you probably know her, some of you, Miko. She just sent me some recipes for raw apple pie, because I went to one of her raw food little demonstrations one time, and she made this apple pie. It was the most delicious thing in like 10 minutes. I mean, I couldn't believe what I was eating. It was just so delicious. So God grew an apple. But you can improve the taste, but you can't improve the apple. Just like, I'm sitting here at my dad's desk, and it's a beautiful wooden desk. But, we had to cut down a tree to make this desk. Well, you didn't improve the tree, so it's a beautiful wooden desk, but, you didn't improve that tree. So you can never improve on God's creation. It's always just exactly as it should be. And that's why you can't go wrong by eating any other raw fruit and vegetable. No one ever, I've heard people say this. I went on a raw food diet and I got very sick. No, you didn't get sick. You maybe felt sick because you were detoxifying, but you were not sick. Believe me, you were detoxifying at the very most. So you will never get sick from eating raw fruit and vegetable of any kind, especially if it's not contaminated with something, which most aren't. I tell people all the time, should it be organic? Well, I try to get as much organic stuff as I can. During the winter, I do a lot of sprouting, and I learned a lot, some of that stuff from Hiawatha. I went down to Creative Health. They do a lot of sprouting down there. And so these are powerful foods, especially these little tiny seeds, mustard seeds and broccoli seeds and radish and alfalfa and red clover. When you get them in the first 3 to 5 days, they're highly concentrated amounts of enzymes and organic chemical substances, again, that haven't been denatured or destroyed by cooking. Anytime you cook anything, you destroy all the nutrients. So you've taken it from a rejuvenating food that's alkalizing with powerful healing abilities, and you turn it into mere sustenance. So, like if you eat, they say broccoli is anti-cancer. Well, cooked broccoli is not. That's just a myth, and it's completely, it's completely wrong. If you cook anything, because it's the enzymes in the broccoli, it's the fluorophane in broccoli sprouts there's several other enzymes in there that make those so healthy. But that in the first 3 to 5 days, you will find 50 times more sulforaphane than you will in an entire head of broccoli, because it creates these chemical substances and these enzymes in the first few days of the sprout, and then it spreads out through the plant. So, as far as which plants, again, I have my favorites. I always make sure I have greens in my salad. That's the kind of the basis of, look, I have something called the raw food pyramid. It's in the back of my book, but my raw food pyramid shows you what do we need the most of? Well, water. So I kind of redesigned this stupid food pyramid. They made it that, there's just, you always see that food pyramid is a little bit of eggs and not too much sugar and meats here. The people from every single industry, the egg industry and the meat industry, they come in there and they fight with the FDA to get their place on the food pyramid. It's like so stupid, So it's called the food guide pyramid. Well, it's just a joke. But most of what you need is water. Next, you need greens. So that's what I have a lot broad, and my favorite green happens to be arugula, but I do a lot of mustard green and spinach, and I'll do parsley and cilantro, anything I can get my hands on. Any raw food is a good one for me. I try to just get variety. It's all about variety,
Yeah,
variety,
right.
variety. So going back to my cancer protocol, I'm going to destroy everything that's living in your digestive tract, and then we're going to follow up with a probiotic. I happen to sell a really good one. It's made with a strain of acidophilus called DE111. It's also got a fermented food in it. It's a really, really good antibiotic, or probiotic. But I would highly recommend you put a probiotic into your diet if you're not doing it already. You take that maybe 25 minutes before you eat. And then I always take a digestive enzyme with that as well. But we're going to kill everything in the digestive tract and then repopulate it with the healthy bacteria. And how long can you go on my cancer protocol? The beginning of it. Well, if you can go 12 hours without eating, and then if you've already eaten something, everything I'm telling you here, don't do it then. It's a waste of time, because the food's just going to absorb it. It's not going to have anything. You got to be fasting. You got to clear the blood. So first thing in the morning, say, get up and do all this, and then take the silver. And again, you don't have to worry about, you can take them all at the same time. I have another product that actually I own this product with the inventor of it. It's called Dissolve Bioactive Silicate. So Bioactive Silicate is a crystalline form of silicon, and it removes bacteria from biofilm from the body. Biofilm is that slippery stuff that you feel on everything, where it's just kind of a bacterial film. And that, if you've got cancer, I guarantee you've got biofilm throughout your body. And then nanobacteria accumulates in the arteries, and can actually cause a heart attack. People think that's plaque. A lot of the quote unquote plaque we see in our blood is really nanobacteria that's built up over time and closed off that artery. So now you've got heart problems. And I will just say, I still run a 6-minute mile. I'm 64. I just turned 64 last week. And I'm running a 6-minute mile, and it doesn't kill me to run it. I know I could train and get myself down to a 5:30 mile, or even a 5-minute mile, if I really was dedicated and I really wanted to do it. But, again, for me, exercise is just about health. I've always exercised. I've always been a runner. But to me, as I said, it's just about being healthy. So I do it every single day. And I'll just tell you right now, 5 days out of 7, I don't want to do it, but I go out and I do it anyway. Either go out running, but I got my elliptical downstairs, so I can work out here in Michigan right through the winter and everything. And I never miss unless I have an event going on. And even then, if I know I have something going in the evening, I'll work out in the morning. Working out, very, very important. Of course, there's a huge connection between physical exercise and your brain being healthy. There's a book I like to reference all the time called Spark. And I can't remember the name. It was a medical doctor actually wrote that, and he'll tell you there'd be so many studies about people who don't exercise versus people who do. Even in high school, you'll see the kids that go out for sports and stuff, they generally have a higher grade point average. It's a big connection between working out and the brain. You've got to work it, keep that brain going. And I've got all sorts of products for your brain. I've got things that help you with memory. I've got a type of magnesium that will help you, keep away from dementia, things like Alzheimer's, that kind of a thing. So I got other products that feed the brain. Choline, alpha GPC is the best thing. That's kind of the rock star of these cholines, because your brain, choline's a fat. Your brain's mostly fats and acids. So I've got all these herbs. Mucuna is my number one herb for longevity. It produces HGH in the brain. It's the only herb in the world that does that. But I'm clear thinking. I don't have brain fog. I don't wake up exhausted. I'm not one, and I'm not really an early riser type of guy. But I don't wake up and I just drag through everything. The only time I'm tired is if I didn't get enough sleep the night before. And of course, that is important. So at any rate, so going back to my cancer protocol, first of all, we're going to cleanse everything in the digestive tract. We're going to cleanse the blood. And then the next thing is, once you begin to eat or whatever, we're going to detoxify the body from inert substances, such as heavy metals, herbicides, pesticides. You know, every time you go up and fill up your car with gasoline, you smell, if you smell the gasoline, well, that you're breathing in benzene, trihallomethanes, you know, arsenic, all sorts of stuff. You're breathing it right in. It's going right into your bloodstream. And so you want, you know, you want to get that out of there. So, you know, and like you ride behind a bus and, you know, whatever, a truck, and you smell all the fumes and everything. You know, somebody who's a smoker, unfortunately, and you got to live with that person, or you smell smoke all the time. This is, you know, stuff goes right into the lungs. You know, you're breathing it right in. You know, people get lung cancer. You don't usually hear about stage 1, 2, or 3 lung cancer. It's always stage 4. So it just comes on immediately. And once you get lung cancer, anything with the lungs is extremely difficult to heal. I recommend nattokinase for that. That's a systemic enzyme. And there's all sorts of things here. I'm just kind of going over not the details of my protocol, but just the basics of it. You know, killing everything in the digestive tract, cleansing the blood, and then going in and detoxifying the body. And I have all sorts of, you know, chlorella and spirulina, these 2 types of algae that are 60% protein. And like, I have that with everything I eat. I have if you take a small handful with every meal, that's all the protein you'll need for your meal. If you want to eat meat, fish, eggs, or dairy, it's strictly for the taste. So you got to, you don't need that. The only reason we eat those foods is because we like the taste of them. Well, you know, wouldn't it be great for me if a nice giant pizza were healthy? But it's not. You know, a nice beer, you know, or a big glass of wine or something, and a pizza, and that's the path to health. Well, that's not the path to health, unfortunately, because as I said earlier, God grew an apple. So stick with what God did, because he never makes mistakes. You can never improve on what he did and all you can do is bring it down in value. So, you know, and I talk a lot about God in this book, and I talk about how atheistic and how the scientific community has really just, they don't want to even admit God exists because they don't need him. And they kind of almost, you know, chide their colleagues for bringing up God or something like that. Those are just your beliefs. So there's a great book. I can't think of the title, but the guy's name is Berlinski. And he wrote this book, and I quote him several times in my book. But this guy is just, you know, he's Jewish, and he's not a religious guy at all. And he says, I don't ever go to temple. I never, you know, I believe in God, but that's it. But he says, you look at the scientific community, they're a bunch of atheists. I mean, the scientific community decided to leave God out of the equation many, many years ago. And it's one, you know, you take somebody like Newton or Galileo, these were men of God. I mean, they were God believers. I mean, you look at their writings, you know, all these scientists of back in the Middle Ages and all these things, they really were, everyone believed in God. You know, we talk about today's Christopher Columbus Day. I don't know what they're calling it anymore. That was a man. He was a man of God. We're all imperfect, but he was a very staunch Catholic and a man of God. And, you know, that was just the way it was back then. And so this idea of kind of in the 20th century is when all these atheists got into the scientific community and sort of you know, took over. And so they left everyone out. And this guy wrote this book, Berlinski. I can't think of the title of his book right off the top of my head. But I think it's called something delusion, because it was the God delusion. So he rebuts a lot of these atheists, and he does such a great job. These atheists that write book after book after book after book and all, you know, about saying there's no God. How many books you got to write to say there's no God? I mean, it's ridiculous. How long does it take? I could, you know, it seems like you could do that in like maybe like 3 or 4 pages, you know, but they write books after books after books on why there's no God. And I don't know what they're going to replace it with, but that's the scientific community. So that tells you everything you need to know about those people, you know, what their beliefs are, you know, and because you'll see where they're coming from. You know, the medical establishment is always looking for if you're looking for the criminal that committed the crime, you got to be looking for the clues in the right places. If you're looking over here and all the clues are over here, you're not going to catch your criminal. And same with these doctors. If they're looking over here for a cure for disease, because you go to the doctor's office, what do? They give you a clipboard and fill out your medical history. Okay, who had cancer? And the minute you get cancer, they're going to say, okay, cancer runs in your family. Heart disease runs in your family. Okay, what else this runs in your family. All this dietary habits run in our family. As I said before, we're a meat and potato society. I've traveled all over the world, and I love India. And but they live in a curry diet over there, totally different foods. The most exotic foods I ever ate was in Korea. I mean, they're totally different than us. We don't eat any of the foods. We eat a lot of seaweed, and just totally different diet. So when we sit down at the table, we don't have, with our families, we don't have, well, mommy's eating a steak tonight and dad's having, hot dogs and this, and then Jennifer, little Sally here, she's eating her curry foods and you're eating your Chinese foods. We all eat the same foods, and that's why all disease runs within families, but it runs within our diet. So it appears so to the medical establishment, it appears as though disease runs in our genes, and it appears to me that the sun revolves around the earth. Okay, but it turns out the sun is just sitting there and we're spinning, and that was an argument settled long ago. So just because something appears one way doesn't necessarily mean it is that way. So cleanse the body of all the bacteria, yeast, mold, and fungus, tabula rasa, clean the slate, then go into the heavy metal detoxification of inert substances, heavy metals, herbicides, pesticides, all the stuff that disease lives on. And then begin, hydrate your body, and you'll begin to get, because what you've done, if you've got cancer, it's because you created this environment within. If you've got cancer, two things. You know that you're acidic, or any disease you have, that you're acidic, and that you're toxic. You're full of things that don't belong in the body. You've created this acidic, toxic environment within your body, and now you're wide open to any disease, whether it's arthritis, high blood pressure, cancer, you name it. It doesn't matter what it is. And this is why you see, you don't know what happened, but you look at two people in one family. Little Johnny got cancer, and then little Sally didn't get it. Well, little Johnny just got unlucky. Well, I don't know what he was exposed to that gave Johnny the cancer, but not Sally. Maybe his mother, he got it when he was in a fetus. And so she was exposed to toxins, and he was exposed to these toxins. Or maybe it was he got into a place and got into some herbicides or pesticides somehow, or whatever. Maybe he's eating a slightly different diet. Maybe he's eating more of this kind of junk food or whatever. He's eating a lot of meat, and maybe Sally's not eating as much. But it all comes down to your diet. There's so many times, I can't remember the woman's name now, but you probably would know her. She's a raw foodist down in Atlanta. And I interviewed her in my it was a podcast. It was just called a radio show back when I did it back in the early 2000s. I didn't even call it a podcast back then, but I interviewed her for a few times. And she said, everybody in my family got breast cancer. So now I got breast cancer, and they were just, okay, no, it's your turn. That's your turn. We all get this. So you're just going to get it too. And she says, I don't think so. I got to do something else. So she went out and she researched, and she found the raw food diet, and she went on it. So I'm, again, very key on the raw food diet. That's the biggest thing. Everything I tell you to do basically is pretty easy, except change your diet. Change the foods that you're eating. That's the most difficult thing, because we love these foods. We're attached to these foods. I mean, I love pizza, but I stay away from it because it's not healthy. And I love, I would love eating a burger, but I don't do that because I know it's not healthy. And all these other foods, all these other cooked foods, it's kind of not, it's more difficult for other people than to go to social events than me, because usually they are looking at me like, why aren't you eating our food? But you go to the average picnic or cookout, or you're going to be the only one there unless I go to my church, the men get together called men's group once a month, and they eat all their stuff. And if somebody brought some salad or something, I'll have some. Otherwise, I might go cheat with a cookie, but that's about it. I'm not going to sit there and eat any of their, and it's all home cooked food. Ribs and chicken, and they're all Germans. They bring in all this sort of German food. It's all home cooked. I'm sure it's delicious, but I'm not going to eat it because that's not the path to health. And it's very difficult to change your diet. And we learn about these dietary habits, of course, right from birth. And we learn about eating cooked foods from the people we trust the most, our parents, our grandparents. And sometimes, they have some very powerful psychological attractions to us. I mean, we remember grandma's Christmas cookies because it was Christmas and it was so happy, and the family got together and there were such delicious cookies. We don't remember grandma's liver and onions because that was a bad memory, but these are powerful psychological connections that we have, and they really are very difficult to break. I will mention, we're just addicted. Everyone's addicted to cooked foods. I'm a dairyaholic. I mean, it's very difficult for me to always avoid dairy completely because I grew up on dairy. There isn't a dairy product in the world that I don't love to eat. But I know it's bad for me, so I stay away from it. And I will say it's the number one thing. If you have cancer, don't eat dairy. I mean, I've seen people that medical doctors, actually telling people to eat more dairy when they get sick. Well, there's something in dairy called IGF, insulin-like growth factor, and that's what you grow. That's what happens in your body when you grow and you're a little kid, and then it kind of shuts off. Well, when you take IGF when you got cancer, well, that just makes the cancer go crazy. So they get some very, very bad advice, from medical doctors. In my book, you'll read my book. I met a couple of medical doctors, cancer researchers, the top people in their craft. I met them in Baltimore at Johns Hopkins, near Johns Hopkins, at this one hotel where all the doctors stay. It's called the Marriott Waterfront Hotel, and it's right next to Johns Hopkins. Well, they were very nice guys, a couple of Jewish guys, and one was a cancer research, and the other was a medical doctor, and they were actually that one of their close friends just won the Nobel Prize for cancer research and everything. And they said, "What do you do?" I said, "I'm a naturopath." And they said, "Oh, a naturopath? What's it?" They looked at each other. They didn't know what a naturopath was. If I'd have said a plumber, oh, they know what a plumber is. But a naturopath, they had no clue. So they don't know anything about what I do. They're more than happy to denounce it. And when I began to tell them that all disease, cancer comes from toxicity, the guy just said, "Well, isn't that true? Isn't that?" I said, "Isn't that true?" And he goes, "We're not quite there yet." Quote unquote, we're not quite there yet. They're never going to be there because they're not looking in the right place. They don't think toxicity has anything. If you look at a tumor is, something that's weird happening in the body. And so there's something going on there, and your body's making all these cells and it won't turn it off. And it can become cancerous where your body's there's something going on. So your body's trying to wall that off from the rest of the body so it doesn't spread. And if it becomes cancerous, that's why. And you see these people getting, breast cancer. And then, okay, I got the breast cancer gene, so they're taking the breasts off, mastectomy. And I got the uterus gene, and so I'm going to have my tubes will be removed or whatever. And they're just lopping off pieces. That Angelina Jolie did this. There's many people that just had their breasts removed because they found the cancer. I don't know what they're going to do when they find the brain cancer gene. I guess it's, off with the head, because what else can you do? So, this is obviously, it's just not the answer to start removing body parts because you have this gene. This is just ridiculous. And, you go into the hospital, and of course, I mean, you look at chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is kind of where it was in the 1960s. It really hasn't changed much at all. It's the same thing. The only thing that's improving, our death rates aren't as bad. Well, that's because they can catch the cancer so much easier, or so much sooner. The sensitivity of the equipment is amazing. The stuff they can do with the medical, with their equipment is, in detection, it's astounding. I mean, I go in for blood work from time to time, just so I can see where I am. And of course, it always comes back perfect. It's always right in the range. Nothing's out of the range or anything. And, and I always tell you something, I'm nobody special. Anybody can do what I'm doing it. I'm just doing it. So I'm not like some special person. And I did want to mention before, what do you do? How do you get away from these foods? There's a great book, and some of you might know her, and I know Cricket, you know her, but it's Victoria Botenko. She wrote a book called 12 Steps to the Raw Food Diet, something close to that. And I mention it in my book, because it's an addiction. We're addicted to this stuff, and you have to use this What do I do when I'm addicted to alcohol? What do I do when I'm addicted to drugs? I'm addicted to heroin. What do I do? Well, you know, you go on this 12-step program. Well, she said, let's go on the same 12-step program for raw foods and get out, I mean, for cooked foods and get out of those and go to and do a raw food diet. So it's a great book. It's very well written. And so I always like to, you know, tell people this is, you know, point to that book as one of the best books I've read on the raw food diet is that 12 steps to raw foods. Victoria Botenko. She wrote a lot of other books, but that's really the one I cite the most. So that's kind of my health protocol in a nutshell. I've talked for maybe half an hour or something here, so
An
maybe a little
hour.
longer. And so maybe you guys got some questions, but this is what I do. And I know your body can cure itself. I got bumper stickers. Your body is capable of healing itself of any disease. And that's the truth. So if you're sick, it's because it's your fault. You made yourself sick. And that's a message not of chiding you, but it's a message of empowerment because you got yourself into this situation and you can get yourself out.
So
Okay.
can you hear us now, Bob? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you very
so-
much.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Okay.
So I found 2 books. Is it David Berlinski?
Yeah. David Berlinski. Yeah.
I found a couple books by him, The Devil's Delusion,
That's the one.
Atheism and Its Scientific Pretensions. That's the one?
Yeah. Yeah. Devil's Delusion. I
Okay.
quote that a whole bunch of times in my book.
Okay.
And, you know, he didn't make any fans in the scientific world when he wrote that book because they really came after him. But he's not
I
a real
wrote that
religious
in the
guy.
chat, you guys, if you want to look at the
Yeah, look
spelling
in
of his
your,
name.
yeah,
chat.
click the second little,
It's not the
voice.
same on everybody's.
isn't, oh,
Go
okay.
to chat and you
Chat,
can see it.
all right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Devil's
Anybody else
Delusion.
have
That's a great
questions?
book. And very
Okay.
well, he wrote, that's 10, 12 years ago. He wrote that, but the truth is the truth. It never gets old.
So the title is right there in the chat. So
Yeah.
I thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Brittany,
Devil's
for putting
Delusion.
it
Yeah.
there.
But I mean, that just shows you where you know, where these scientific guys, it's just a great way to begin to see the medical establishment. They're atheist. They have an atheistic approach. They don't want to hear about God. And they just very dismissive of anybody who wants to bring that up. You know, go pray in
Anybody
your own
else
time.
have
is sort of their-
questions?
I have a question.
Yes. Can you, Bob, go over again the liquid silver and what other products that we should buy to clean out our digestive system? I didn't get a chance to write it down.
You'll
Okay,
have to
well,
watch
first
the
of all,
replay.
that's a good
It-
question. So I
Bob,
will
there's
say
no
this.
point
First of
to
all,
repeating all that. She can watch the replay.
yeah, no, I won't go through everything. Go to my website, watershed.net.
Okay.
And then you
Thank
go
you.
up to the top, it'll say cancer protocol. And when you go there,
Okay.
you'll see, it'll say Parasite Killer Protocol. You click that and there's all the products, all the links and the exact what to do and how to take it and what to do when you get up in the morning, what do I do? Because people say, okay, you gave me all this stuff to eat. Now, what do I do? So I have a daily routine and it's in the back of my book, in the very back of my book, but just as daily routine. Here's what I would do. So I tell you how to fast and which products to take and everything. So I didn't really mention all of them by any
Yeah.
means. There's a whole bunch
Yeah.
of things I would
Okay.
recommend.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. And then another thing is my YouTube, I mentioned it is Watershed 11, or you could go to Dr. Bob McCauley or Watershed 11. And everything, I go through my entire book at like the last 9 or 10 videos I've made are all my cancer protocol. And I go through the entire book, sort of, you know, section by section, telling you what it's about and everything. So my main thing is just to get the information out there to people. So you can watch my videos and get everything out about it. You can listen to the book, you could buy the book, but it's all on my website. It's all, you know, there's nothing that you won't see here that I won't have on those videos or in my website. That's
Okay,
Watershed
cool.
11 again.
That's cool. Did someone else have a question?
Yes, I'd like to have a question. This is Hiawatha. Can
I'll get
anybody
that
hear
to
me?
you, Fran.
Hi, Hiawatha.
Yes, we
I've
can.
been knocked off the line so many times. Anyway, what I'd like to know, Dr. Bob, is how often can you take the the Silver 500, Anstrom Minerals?
Yeah, so this is what I would recommend for any infectious disease, whether you got shingles, whether you've got, because that's a virus, whether I want you to go through my parasite killer protocol. And so if you're really sick with something like maybe you have, the COVID, you could take that silver 2 or 3 times a day. But and as a maintenance dosage, I mean, I take it every week. And I haven't been sick. I haven't been sick since I had meningitis. I mean, and I hadn't been sick before that, probably 10 years. So that's why I was not really prepared for this. But, I figured God did that to me for a reason. I mean, I was really in bad shape. And so when I was in China and I took a cap full of the silver, I said, wow, this didn't happen for no reason. Something caused,
Well, I hate to interrupt
this is
you, but I
given to me
want to
for
get some
something.
more information. I want to know what does a parasite protocol consist of?
on
That's
his
what I went
website.
over, and it's on my website, the parasite killer formula that I have. It's the bismuth, the silver, the dissolved
Anyway, it's on the
bioactive
website.
silicate.
Okay, I'll check the website.
Yeah, just go up there, go up to the top. You'll see cancer protocol, click that, and then you'll see everything. And there's a detox protocol, and that's for the inert things. And then the parasite protocol, which is get the living things. We've got to cleanse the body, got to cleanse the temple, kill everything, put in the friendly bacteria. And then we start getting all these other bad things out of there. Heavy metals, herbicides, pesticides, and all the stuff that accumulates. See, when you eat a raw food, they don't displace their toxins, even if they're toxic. Whereas if you eat a cooked food, all those toxins are going to be displaced into the body, all of them. That's the way it works.
Well, I thank you so much for the information, but I've got to get off the phone now because I have another conference call.
Okay,
So
thanks,
thank you
Okay.
Hiawatha.
All right,
much.
Hiawatha. Great to hear from
Thank
you.
you.
You
Hi,
keep
Hiawatha.
going and going. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Fran,
All
you
right.
had a question?
Yeah, I know you mentioned sprouts, and I've been trying to grow my broccoli sprouts, but but I got about 5 years ago, and those things would not sprout. Do you have any recommendation? I know that's
Yeah,
maybe
so
not
I
what you
mean,
did.
they won't last too long. When you get to be 5 years, I like the idea of putting them in the freezer, or especially at like a cold place, cold dark. Don't leave them upstairs or anything. Get into a cold dark place when you buy some. I go to maybe somebody knows. There's a place down in Eaton Rapids that does the sprouts. Or
grows
seeds, I
them?
should say.
The
In
seeds or
Ferris Farms.
What is it?
Do you need Ferris Farms?
Yeah, Ferris Farms. Now that's just one good place. I get like 5. They sell bulk, so I get like 5 pounds at a time. They kind of took away some of their seeds. They're not doing as many. But then I go to Sprout House or Sprout People. That's another good. There's one called Sprout Lady, and again, it's all about variety. So I do the more easier ones. There's some that you do on terracotta, which is like the clay.
chia?
And things like the chia pet, so we had the chia and flax and arugula. They got this meniscus, this gel that kind of goes, and you put it around there and you grow them that way. But if they're not sprouting, just go get yourself some new seeds. I always get organic ones because they're really cheap. I mean, I got these sprouters, and I'm doing every day I'll start a new little low thing of them. And so I get a whole thing of sprouts like this big, and that probably costs like 5 cents, maybe 5 cents. I mean, it's really the cheapest way to be healthy is sprouts. And I do that all through the winter, and that my garden's in the summer, my sprouting's in the winter. So that's what I would do. And it's cheap, and just put it on your foods, put it on your salads. Even if it's a cooked food, let it cool down so it doesn't destroy the enzymes, and put it on those foods.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I was just surprised because I hadn't opened it, but it's not in a refrigerator. So
Yeah,
those 5 pounds of
mine
broccoli
did the same
sprouts,
thing. I
I'm
got
like,
some years
"What?"
ago, and
Really?
you just can't
Yeah.
keep them too long.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. And I appreciate everything you taught tonight.
Yeah, great.
Well,
I
thank you,
appreciate
Bob.
that.
I appreciate you
Okay.
being on tonight.
Yeah,
We're gonna it's been recorded, so we'll send out the replay to the email list. I'll put it up
Yeah.
on YouTube, and if you want to copy it to your YouTube, Bob, you can do that too, so.
yeah, I will. And, you know, just a plug here for Moselle. She's got a group.
Yeah,
And she's still getting, I did a talk for her a while ago. And she's still going strong. And I saw her not too long ago. I forget where, what, some kind of meeting or whatever, but I think she came up to Lansing. But
Yeah.
she's still doing the raw food down there, and she's getting the group.
She's starting an online class
Mhm.
here not too distant future. So if you want to know about that, just reach out to me and I'll send you the details.
Okay, yeah,
sent it
absolutely.
out
I want
on
to hear
an
about everything
email,
that
a
anybody's
little while
doing.
ago, so.
And yeah, I haven't heard from Janice Welsh in a while, but I know she's still making
Yeah,
and Danielle, and they're still doing a lot of raw foods. And Daniel comes
Yep.
in the store every once in a while. And, you know, they continue on because once you get into the raw food lifestyle, you get locked into it. At least that's the
Yeah.
way it was for
Yeah,
me.
that's
Yeah.
right.
You know, you never lose your taste for cooked foods. You know, this idea, I just don't want it anymore. I don't want a lot of the stuff that I used to eat, but yeah, like I said, I was born to cook. I mean, I became a vegetarian when I was about 22. And so I learned all these vegetarian cooking dishes. I mean, I could make your lentil loaf instead of a meatloaf and make it taste like a meatloaf. And I learned all that stuff. But to do what Cricket's doing and some other like Danielle, there's some really great, you know, Miko Folsom. She's down in Ann Arbor. She's got a thing going now called the Dandelion Raw Wild Cafe, I think it's called, or Raw Wild Dandelion Cafe or something. She's starting a catering business and still a raw foodist. So you know, I've known some great people and they just make delicious things. You come out of one of these raw food potlucks and we don't get together like you used to, but I mean, you're full and you're not stuffed like it's turkey day, and you just feel great. You just digest your food, and it's all these
Yeah.
amazing raw foods.
Yeah.
And Cricket was one of the best.
Oh, thank
She had the raw. Let me tell you, you try her fettuccine, okay? Oh,
Yeah, that was
some
good. I
good
love
stuff.
that.
I'm
Yeah.
still remember that. And the pizzas. Now, Moselle can make the pizza.
Moselle made
Wow.
the pizzas. Yeah, yeah.
He's great. Yeah, we're going to
All
get
right.
together for Hiawatha's birthday and never happened, but
Yeah.
so we'll still have to do that.
Well, thanks everyone. Have a great
Okay.
evening. We'll send you the replay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank
Best of
you.
health. Everybody stay
Okay.
healthy. Now you know where to come and go to my website and